Diogweeb Galera Cordia August Foil to Road. Welcome to be my guest with me, Mary Honan, on Lear Media TV, supporting the Samaritans, Limerick and Tipperary, and also Clare's Wish Foundation as of the other day. And my lovely guest here today is the legend herself, Olive Hurley. And Olive Hurley is an Irish dancing teacher and an adjudicator. And oh my God, she's a hugely well-known and respected member of An Comisiún Rinca Gaelica. Not least, she's Red Hurley's sister, or rather, he's her brother. But I finally got you, Olive, to sit down.
Mary, it's lovely to be here, and thank you for asking me.
Yes, my pleasure.
So, anyway,
how did you get? I suppose we'll start with, how did you get involved in Irish dancing, Olive? I always like to hear people's stories about how they got into the...
I think, well, coming from a big family of music, my father was a musician, played every instrument, but his main instrument was the trumpet. And actually, doing a little bit of research there lately, I found, which I'd forgotten, but I found that he used to play with the brass and reed, the St. James's Brass and Reed Band.
Wow.
In Dublin, yeah, and they're very, very well known. And so he must have been very good, Mary, because my mum told me, and Dad as well, long time when he was alive, that he played the solo trumpet, the trumpet volunteer in the what's it called, in the Royal Albert Hall with the Jameses. So he must have been good. And I remember when I was very, very small, Daddy coming up the road in his car, and I'd say, the 15th car will be Daddy, or the 20th, that it was not 15. And he'd come in with the trumpet, and he'd come into the room and tell me all about it, and I just idolized him, yeah. So with Daddy, with the musician, being the musician, and with Mom with the most glorious voice. She had gorgeous red hair, thick red hair.
So Red took after her.
No, he hadn't actually got red hair. I would call him more like
no, for the singing.
Oh, the singing. Oh, yes.
Although he says you're a very good singer as well, because I was suggesting to him maybe the Von Trapp family singers with you, him, and.
Well, yeah, I did sing. I love singing. I sang with the Dublin Grand Opera Society when I was quite young. After my dad dropped dead of a heart attack, that nearly killed us all.
Oh God!
And so I was really upset. So because we were reared on opera, Daddy used to put me on his knee and he'd tell us all about La Bohème and Rigoletto and all the major operas, and explain easily to us and play the music. And we all loved it, Mary. But I really particularly loved it. Very much, and that was my upbringing as well as pop and rock and singing and everything.
You know, we have a very similar upbringing in the sense that my mother was a trained singer. She sang for the beatification of Blessed Oliver Plunkett. She brought us to Rome, but she was only a child.
Yeah.
But she was a soprano, and she brought me up on musicals, but most specifically opera, and Rigoletto and Carmen and all of the operas. But and like you, my dad dropped dead instantly at 59.
Things in common, Mary.
We
have things in common here.
Yeah, at 59, and I don't think you ever get over a sudden death.
No. Well, the Dublin Grand Opera Society definitely helped me, and then my sister, who's even more beautiful voice, she's gorgeous. She were both sopranos, so we went into the DGOS, as they called it, and then from there I went into the Portuguese Philharmonic Choir. Now this is just in the background. My dancing was always my main thing, but my own private love was to sing and in chorus only. But my sister Flo, gorgeous blonde girl, she's not a girl anymore like me, but I can always remember Flo pulling the hair on the back of my neck when she'd sing. Lovely, gorgeous. So she was actually invited to sing in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And she had two small children, and she was advised, well, maybe it was too early, don't do that. So she didn't. But she went, she stopped when her children were born. And
stopped singing. Isn't that such a pity?
She did some stuff as well, but she sang when she was in London with her husband, and I think her son Greg was born at the time, and she sang with the Fred Headley Orchestra. So yeah, she had a lovely, varied voice and music background.
And you focus mostly on. Red was telling me all the children in the road used to come in and ask, "Is Miss Hurley here?" Come in and pay their money to teach.
Actually, he got that story a little bit wrong. Sorry, Red. Fine. What happened was one summer, when my best friends married her on the road, she'd gone over to the country for her holidays. I said, "Why don't I have an auntie in the country? I want to go to the country." So I was bored, and I got this piece of cardboard, and I wrote on it, "Irish dancing lessons round the back, sixpence each or something." And I stuck it on the gate, and then I think I probably did knock at houses. I was about 12 at the time. Yeah, and so there was a queue of kids up the drive, around the corner at the back, and I take the first little go, about, I don't know, 30 something of them in the end. I know I made £1.18 and 6, Mary. There was an awful lot of money when I was 12. So we had great fun, but there probably were a couple of kids who did knock at the door asking for me to teach them as well. But
hardly here.
but it was great. I gave the nuns in Mount St. John's in Milltown, gave them the money for it.
How do you think dancing has gone now? You've seen obviously a change. You were there. I was there at the start as well with when Kogol split from Commission. And that. Do you think it was? Do you see any space for now that we're all kind of, I suppose, becoming very collegial and talking to people we probably wouldn't have had a chance to speak to before? Do you think there's room for competitions to be more combined?
No, I don't think. Well, personally, that's my opinion, is that it's too big.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd never do it.
No, I can't.
I do think in my mind, Mary, not going off the subject because it is the same thing. I feel that the future, we could be, please God, when all of this is over, this dreadful lockdown and this terrible pandemic, when we get back to normal, hopefully, that eventually there should be like the Olympics, the Worlds every 3 years.
2 years or 3 years, yeah.
And keep on the All-Ireland Championships every year, because that really was probably the pinnacle of dance before the Worlds. Yeah. And have that for the structure for the young people to come to, and then make the World Championships, because it's so big. It really is so big. Like we now like 8 days doing the Worlds. What would you think of that one, Mary?
I have to say I would be in agreement with that, Olive. I think that every year to have 2 major competitions almost dilutes the importance that there was for the All-Ireland Championships. Right. Either that or the All-Ireland, which probably is controversial, the All-Ireland should probably be entirely for Irish dancers only. And like the Great Britain entirely for the
Americans. They all
have their own, and then have the world every year. But I think the All Ireland was such a famous competition. I mean, it's one that we look forward to. I spoke with.
It's like a mini world, isn't it? Sorry, Mary.
Yeah, no. I spoke with Father Michael Johnston.
Yeah.
And he won 4 All-Irelands in a row, 5 All-Irelands in a row. And he said he couldn't afford to come to Ireland, and he didn't want to ask his mother for the money to come over to compete at the first World, because he didn't think they had the money. And he knew he would have, the odds are he would have won it.
Yeah.
And it's always a great thing in his head that maybe if I had gone, I could now say I was a world champion as well 4 times. Right. Because he had the 4 or 5 worlds.
I remember Michael Johnson. He went on then to be a priest, and I tried to him at the All Irelands in Mayo, I think it was.
Yeah, he's in London, but he's he spoke with me, and he was talking about his adjudicator's exam and how he John Culnan and them had chipped in to make the collection up for him because he said mass, and he said he ended up buying them all drinks.
Yeah.
I said you were bribing the judges to pass you your exam.
I don't hear much of Michael anymore. Did you hear from Michael?
He said he'd love to. He goes to a few of the Feshna in London, and it's great joy to him. And if anything, he said to be judging again. Right. He says I'd love to be judging again, and
put his name forward, and hopefully, we pull him out of the bag.
I'm not sure if he's paying registration anymore, but I mean, I must actually ask him because he's a lovely man.
Lovely guy, a very, very nice guy. As I said, I judged with him. He's very nice, very lovely to talk to, and
very gentle, very gentle.
Serious guy. Yeah.
Very, very gentle, and very friendly with Mona Roddy, because he was talking about organising Mona's wedding, her honeymoon.
Her honeymoon.
He messed it up, but they all had a great time anyway. Either way in London, I think it was he organised it for But
Mona's great.
Mona's great. Yeah, she's amazing. Another lady who has put her whole life into dancing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, loving it with a passion, just like you and I. But I think most of us do love the dancing with a passion. But some people, like, it's a whole life to them. And she's very, very proud of her gorgeous girls who are now teaching. And they, in turn, are running the class. It's great.
Yeah, and they do, as she was saying to me, they really run the Zoom side of things.
The mad Zoom that goes out of time when you're teaching. Well, it doesn't go out of time. I find with movies coming in at the end of the beat, and it's still you're going bum bum. Yeah.
How do you think?
I think everybody has.
How do you think people are going to cope with? I've been asked to judge a fesh now in America via Zoom.
Yeah, virtual.
How do you think that it's Michael Dillon and Patricia Kennelly are running it? It's a charity fesh and for children who are homeless. I just saw the panel today, and Gráinne Feely is on it, and so is Brian Garrity, and there's three.
That should be correct.
Yeah, it should be fun. I said to Brian, it's the first time we've judged together, even if it's on Zoom. But and Gráinne, it's my first time judging with Gráinne as well.
Yeah, I did one, and you could be in your pajamas. or anything, and when everybody's done their piece and they're sent into you and you watch each one, it's great. But
I was talking to a woman yesterday who was knighted. I was talking to a woman yesterday who was knighted by Prince Charles. She got an MEB or a MBE from Prince Charles, and she was talking about how she gives lectures in Australia, and she said, "Now, Mary, I get up at 5:30," she said, "to do the lecture, and I put my face on, and I don't wear my pajamas," she said, for those. But some other ones, she said, I could have my pajamas on me, but I make a conscious decision.
That was a joke. I love to, well, I've only done one fesh virtually, but I think it's great for the children to get away from the fun of it. It's great for the children to have this goal, that's something that they can do. The one we did in Corlaline for the Regional Council of the Commission, we did one there recently, and it was a huge success. And I couldn't believe that they were so enamored with this idea of dancing at home, either be the back garden or the porch or the toilet, anywhere they could find space, and love it.
Yeah.
And we gave them all the certificates, even those who didn't win anything. They all got remarks which they loved. I'm just speaking about,
I think the comments are important.
Comments are very important.
Because
they love that more than the prizes.
I think so, because at least parents know. Now I know why they didn't give her. I can see what they're talking about. But sometimes you're looking and you think, oh, my child danced beautifully now there. Why didn't she get A, B, and C? But, when they look back, and when they're able to look back at the video themselves, they're able to say, oh, yeah, actually, that, I can see her foot turning in, or I can see her
exactly. Well, one of the adjudicators, had a little one dancing, and her remarks were, keep those toes turned out and cross over those knees. Don't forget now, up on your toes. And she heard all of this from me verbatim. But now somebody else told her. She says, oh, Olive, now I know what you mean, when she was texting over and all of that. But
yeah, but that's it.
You see, they get that they have something to keep them going. It's not enough, Mary.
No.
Really good champion dancers, world champions, and all at that level, show dancers, they're lost totally.
Look, it's not all about dancing and physically dancing. No. It's all, for me, it's about the getting on a stage, standing in front of an audience, right, and feeling the sense of the audience, even if you don't see them.
The competing aspect of it,
and the clapping and the stand, the applause.
Badly, but the feshes that we did for the CLOG, the entries were not big in the senior levels because they couldn't. There was a restriction on how far you could go in the space to make everything fair. So I think it was 8 by 16. But you're an open dancer, as you know, and I know, will lap across the stage and nearly in
two bars.
Couldn't really get a handle on that. Yeah, they didn't want to, a lot of them didn't do it. Yeah. But the younger kids loved it. So that's one thing they have. And then there's all sorts of things, going on, trying to keep them active and motivated and challenged, and collaborations going on with different schools. And yeah, it's lovely to see that. But it's not enough, Mary. They need to get back. They need each other.
You need the human contact, and no matter what. I mean, you and I are speaking together. I've said it. People will be so sick of me hugging them. I'll probably be in danger of hugging strangers at this stage.
I know. Because I'm a huggy person too. My family will tell you that, and I miss the hugs so much. Yeah,
I miss the hugs. It's just.
I feel, Mary, it's not too far away now. The vaccines coming in. And maybe you're all done by August. What do you think?
Yeah, I just. How is COVID? How are you coping in lockdown? I know you have your husband, and so you're not completely on your own. But
no, I have. Sorry, Mary. I have 3 boys who are now young men, and they have their own beautiful families, and I'm now a granny. And loving it. We see them and they wave and we throw kisses and her heart hugs and all of that. My brothers and I have 6 brothers. I had 2 gone to heaven. But Fran, another wonderful musician.
Musician.
He runs Bond nightclub and another nightclub. I can't remember the name of it. And then there's Liam, who played probably the best lead guitarist in Ireland. He's retired from that now. And then there's Joe. I must tell you a story about Joe. Joe is the eldest. Joe lives in Toronto and he plays the piano. And he had
I heard about him. I heard he was amazing.
Was it Paula Woodgate?
It was Paula Woodgate. Sent me a message and she said, Red's brother is fabulous as well.
Yeah.
He lives in Toronto.
Well, Joe used to use is an awful word, but you know what I mean? Joe would have Paula's dancers on his show, on his gigs, and they got to know each other. So yeah, Paula's gorgeous, isn't she?
Isn't she lovely? Yeah. I didn't get to really to speak to Paula until Facebook, and now I feel like I've known her forever.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, very.
On my show.
But I don't know. I digressed as my family.
Your brother in Canada.
Yeah, Joe in Canada, and there was something led into that one, Mary. So I don't know what it was, but yeah. Speaking of my brothers, I have 4 brothers and my lovely sister. And
you said I must tell you something about
people. That's what it was, yeah. But coming out of meeting people, I see my brothers. My birthday was in July, and there was a knock at the door, and I opened the door. And because it was my birthday, I put on my best dress. Just for fun, just for me. I didn't know anybody was coming because he couldn't be in the house. Total lockdown. So the next thing, there's a knock at the door, and it's Fran, and it's 3 lovely girls. And I said, oh my God. So that was lovely. So we had champagne in the garden. Miles away from each other.
Decadent. Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing you're asking about how I'm feeling during lockdown, during this awful time. I try to keep as positive as I can, Mary, and you know, be there if I can for people if I can. Yeah, I get very lonely at times. Yeah, sad and saying, "Hope everybody's okay." I probably worry about everybody else more than I would about me, insofar as because I come from such a huge family. Now I just don't have my brothers and my sister. I have loads of nieces, beautiful nieces, and nephews, and cousins, and aunties and uncles, and they're all spread everywhere. So I would be saying, hope everybody's okay. Is everybody all right? So touch wood, Mary, everything is fine. And then Liam is marvelous, my husband. He keeps me motivated. Doesn't let me get down at all. We have a gorgeous park in front of us, walk out the door, out into the park. And so that's lovely. I always find the air is good for you, as everybody surely does know at this stage.
Yeah, but it's safe to say people, I suppose, all of us in the dancing world are missing going to things like that. You'd complain before about, God, I've got to go to a fesh or whatever, but now you'd give anything. And I think
I can't wait to get to the first fesh.
Yeah, we can't wait to get to the first fesh. And as Christine Dignan said to me, hopefully once we do get to our competitions, we're going to be a little bit, or people will be a little bit more appreciative of each other, and not be looking for the big 40-foot stage.
That's right.
And the big, and all the equipment and the lights, the proper. I mean, I heard people complaining about my the only thing that they complained about in my fesh when it was in Carrick-on-Lish was that the lights weren't great inside there, and you can't do anything about the lights. It's a sports complex. I had a 40-foot stage and everything ready. Beautiful. But one or two said, it's a fabulous fesh and blah, 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 Mary, but the lights aren't great and I can't do anything about the lights. I don't think we care once we're back.
Yeah, no. But the thing I think that is sad, really, there's so many people involved in the music and arts, and they're suffering really badly, because there's nothing for them. I mean, I said to Brian once on the phone, do you know what I'd love to do, Brian? Go into the cathedral and sing on your own and let us all hear you. And he said, oh, but it just doesn't work like that. You can't just go into the cathedral and sing. You can't do that as such. And,
why not? Why not?
Well, you could do it why not indeed, but Mary, I don't know.
It only takes one person to do it.
Yeah.
For it to go viral.
But there's no work for anybody out there at the moment. But still, I know, as I said, we're getting closer. And when I get into this mood of wondering how's everybody doing, I think of all the people that I know in the music business, apart from the dancing.
All your family are in the music industry.
Yeah, we're very, very lucky. And there's Steph now. She's a beautiful voice. God bless her. But I also have other nieces who also have beautiful voices, and I'm so happy and thrilled for Steph now going forward now in her career. And big Steph.
She's only at the start of her career.
Yesterday on the TV, and she came over absolutely beautifully. But there's Natalie, Fran's girl. She's now a year, I think, younger than Stephanie. She's also a glorious voice. And then I have my other niece, Anne, who's older. Not much older, but she's the oldest of my nieces, of singing wise. And she's got the most gorgeous voice, Anne Bryony feels. Oh, you have to hear her. She's
so it really could be the Von Trapp family singers.
It could have been. I think we're all too much into our own self, maybe, Mary. We wouldn't have worked if we'd all wanted to have been leaders, I think.
I don't think you would have.
No, I don't know.
I just get the feeling from Olive. Do you think that there's enough being done to get the dancing back? I mean, we're socially isolated anyway as dancers. I mean, we don't have to. Dancers have their own spot on the stage, and it's well away from another dancer. And I mean, they're penalized if they clash or if they come too close to other dancers. They know they're very organized.
Yes.
Do you think we're in the wrong we're pigeonholed as a sport, and that we should be maybe cultural dance or cultural activity?
We are pigeonholed to a degree, Mary, I agree, but I don't know the full answer there, to be honest with you, how we can get out of it as such. If one thing has happened out of COVID, it's made me realize that it doesn't really matter anymore about certain things in life. We are together, as they said at the beginning, we are in this together. And we are, and it's made me appreciate, I think, if there's a plus for the people who are, struggling and not winning, and to have them motivated to go forward a little bit more after after what's happened. Like we're all going back into singing again from the same hymn sheet, dance from the same hymn sheet, Mary. I'm not making myself very clear there.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying.
You know what I'm trying to say? It's an inner soul thing I have about people that suffer, and now I think we would be looking at it in a different light. They're, I'm pushing forward for these younger people who need to feel confident in themselves. A lot of the children don't feel good if they don't get placed in the first 5 or 6, and you see the tears coming and saying, "It's all right, darling, next fetch, don't worry about it. It's not about the fetch, it's about competing and being confident in yourself." They don't always get that, Mary, but maybe coming out of this, we may be more understanding and adjudicating.
You were talking about the All-Ireland and possibly having a world every 2 or 4 years or whatever, like the Olympics, having a world, or even changing the name of it to the Irish Dancing Olympics or something like that. But, every 4 years. But could I brought this question up to a few people about the idea of having something major for the child that is maybe after winning out of Mangrod. And they've won out of Mangrod, but that's the furthest. They were lucky, maybe they won out of Mangrod because the competition was really small, and they're never going to win.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. And then they're locked there that they can't go any further.
They'll never go any further.
If they believe, Mary, and they've got to be indoctrinated in the belief that they can do it. I've always had a philosophy in my life: belief. If you believe in yourself, you can do it.
Yeah.
And it's most definitely true for me, because I believed all my life I could do it, and I did it.
But you were very good with teaching adults as well.
Yeah, well, that brings me back to Kathy. Do you remember my darling
Kathy? Is just she's just a force of nature.
She's phenomenal. She actually turned around inadvertently without knowing at all. She walked into my class back 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And she wanted to know whether I teach her to dance. Now, she was a nice, lovely, happy, pretty.
Beautiful feet.
Oh, fantastic. But she danced as a child up to, I think, maybe her first treble jig. Sorry if I'm wrong, Kathy, if you're listening. I think about that level.
Well, she will. She asked me to share it with her.
Did she? Great. Well, she was, so to quicken up the story, I was getting the kids ready for the Leinster grades fest back 21 years ago, or thereabouts, and she says to me, she tipped me on the shoulder, "Could I enter for that, Olive?" I said, "Of course you can. Of course, why not?" So it wasn't the thing. This was like back when adults usually stopped at about 18, 20 years of age.
Which I think is way too young.
Way too young. And so in Dublin or Ireland, it was unheard of that you had seniors over the age of 18. They go off and they do their college or work or marriage or whatever. And there's this woman now who had 3 children asking me.
I know. Yeah. I know. So, she's just a force of nature. I mean, she must be
unbelievable. She got on the floor and she did the first hard lead around 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, basic stuff. And I said, "Okay, let's do that." She did a small little lead. I said, "Let's stretch that one now, Kathy." So I got a hold of her hand, and she went, "Oh, it's a financial God. What are you doing?" So I dragged her into a huge big circle. I said, "Now that's the size of the circle." So from then on, she went and she developed into a lovely dancer. Knocks me on the shoulder. "Can I do that fetch?" "Certainly." So she gets up and she danced and she won. I didn't put her into the beginner's level. She was too old for that. I put her into the primary level, Mary. And she gets up and she got 6 firsts. So then she went into the intermediate level eventually. She won everything in the competition. And then some of the dancing teachers, well-known dancing teachers who shall be nameless, I said, "Here's my girl coming." Now she's in the Mangrove, the intermediate level. "Here's my girl, watch her, this woman." And you wouldn't look at her. She hated makeup, wouldn't wear makeup. She had her glasses on, no makeup, short skirt, whatever, black tights. And I said, she says to me, so anyway, she'd go up and she'd win. And here I'd say to one well-known teachers, here's my girl. We're watching, Olive. We're watching, and I won't forget it. And I said, okay.
I love the way you said that, and I won't forget.
I won't, because I'll tell you what happened. And I said, okay. I said, no, so when the dance finished, I said, still innocently, I said, wasn't she great? And these like friends of mine, and I was told, she's imitating the other girls. And these other girls are like 18, beautiful looking girls, all stunning looking.
And what is wrong with imitating?
She was twice the
That's what we're all trying to do.
I was over 18. So she could dance in these competitions. And she goes and she wins them. And when she stood in front of you, Mary, you had to place her. Because she's technically
technically great. Technically great.
So, and she said, what do you mean intimidate? I said, no, don't you think that should be the other way around? Intimidate me? Intimidate them? She couldn't be doing that. And I said, it has to be the other way around. I said, no, I don't know what, she should go to Europe. I said, why should she go to Europe? This is Ireland. This is our country of Ireland, of Irish dancing. Why did you have to go to Europe? Because as you know and I know,
Europe was
huge with adults.
Yeah.
I said, she's not going to Europe. She's going to stay here and dance here. It's her privilege and right to do
an over 18 competition.
Into my head went, I'm going to make you into a champion, Kathy. I would have made it anyway. So I rang her up one day and I said, Kathy, do you want to dance in the Worlds? She tried for the qualifying round and she didn't get into the Worlds that year. So the following, after the Worlds are over, the qualifying is over, I said, would you like to dance in the Worlds? I'd love to. I said, would it be a dream of yours? Yes. I said, okay. Trust me, will you? I will. I said, okay, you've got to get out on your deck, practice every day, 2 hours a day. You've got to get contact lens. I said, I know it's going against, nature, but I said, if you want to win, you have to have the package. You've got to have the whole package as well as the feet. So you must look the part, Kathy. So I got her to put makeup on, got one of the girls to do her makeup for her. She got on a small wig, beautiful dress. I had Ronan McCormick, good old Ronan, great members of Ronan.
She's lovely.
Oh, fabulous guy, and himself and Anthony.
He's such a character.
Oh, he's a Kyle.
And so was Kevin.
Ronan was, and Kevin too. Oh, Kevin with the hair in your back, wasn't he?
Love Kevin. He's such a character.
Sorry, I'm going too long about it, but the gist, Mary, I'm nearly finished, is
take your time.
She went up on the stage in her new guna that Ronan made for her. Fabulous. I said, I want something classy, but not like shimmy. And he did exactly what I told him. And she got up on the stage and her dad had only died that year in February.
Yeah, she
told you about that one, didn't she?
Yeah.
And he said, so the next thing I hear, I'm in 7th place, blah, blah, blah. And in 8th place, Kathy Desmond in the Olive Hurley School, well, she ran up the Belvedere Auditorium to me. Oh, and she was crying like a baby. And I thought, no, she didn't have to go back to Europe to dance. She did it here. And
But isn't it an awful indictment on us as a society that we try to basically put people out to pasture before they're ready to go out to pasture? Why should somebody? I was 32 when I finished in Bunratty Castle as
you were fabulous
dancer there. I was 32. I was dancing 7 days a week, 2 shows a night, 76 shows in 9 days. Wow. I was super fit. I could have danced in competition, but I was gone from the competitive scene. Yes. and in Bunratty.
Yeah.
Probably would have gone from dancing at 18 like everyone else if I hadn't had Bunratty.
Yeah.
But I was 24 when I qualified for my last Munsters, third in Munster. Awesome. And I just think people are, and of course Kathy was older when she was
41, I think. Yeah.
But why do we have to? Aren't we trying to encourage people, one, to think positively, to have a good sense of themselves, and also to be fit?
Yeah, absolutely. She was a paragon. She was fantastic. And what happened then, Mary, was she suddenly, out of nowhere, I was getting people ringing me up saying, Olive, can you teach me to dance? Beginners, primary level, wanting to come back to dance because they got the strength to do it, because now we saw Kathy going out to get, low place in the world. She didn't win the world, but she did well. She did very well. She actually did the All Ireland, then they were doing a documentary on her, and she recalled the All Irelands the following year.
Yes, I remember the documentary.
You remember that fantastic one? What was it called?
Yeah.
Weeks.
I was so proud of her, and I'd never spoken to her, but I just thought, good on you, girl. I love to see somebody challenge the status quo.
Yeah, she's probably one of my best pals now. She's still in the class, and she helped me in the class, and she still teaches up on online with me dancing. She's not teaching with me. She's getting steps from me and a couple of my assistant teachers. And so she's loving it, can't get enough of it, can't wait to get back into the hall to help me. And she's not going to give it up. She just loves it.
Do you think that, I know I've had competitions at my Fresh, which for adults, and the solos went down really well, and they were starting to, and then it kind of waned where they stopped. I just think that the negativity towards people who are thinking outside of the box and who want to, there's no end to when a person can dream or when a person stops dreaming. We should fulfill all our wishes, and if that means at 40 to compete at the World Championships, maybe.
If anybody out there, young or even older, listening to us, I want to say to them, believe in yourself. Don't give up ever your dream or your hope. You must keep going and feel it. But because if you lose the belief in anything you're doing, be it music, dance, whatever, if you stop believing, you don't have the gut feeling and the desire, and you will not win. You will not go forward as much as you could.
But it's not even about, and I think I said this in the magazine, the Irish Dancing magazine. Yeah. Not everyone is going to be
fantastic.
Pardon?
Which incidentally was fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful.
But not every child is going to be a world champion or even a champion. Many children will never even win out of Bungrod.
Yeah.
But we do a huge disservice to children when we reduce everything to winning a cup or winning a medal or winning a sash. I know they love a sash.
A lot of my pupils, sorry for interrupting you, Mary, will succeed in their own lives, in their approach to their exams in school.
That's it.
By giving them that feeling of, I can do this.
Self-worth.
And I have this fun thing in the class, don't you know who I am? And everybody laughs, and it's a joke, don't you know who I am? And they'll walk and I'll say, well, did you practice? Don't you know who I am? They'll have fun back. And so I can see slowly as the years go by how they do build their confidence and feel good about themselves. If they never win a World, if they never win an All Ireland or any major event, they still go out there feeling, I feel good.
And you know something, Olive, I was only saying it to Christine Dignan earlier on.
Yeah.
It's not even when you finish dancing. It's funny the things that you remember from dancing, and it's very seldom the winnings that you've had.
Yeah.
It's the funny things that happened, and I was telling Christine that when Celine Penny, who I used to help with her teachers, Celine got me into Bunratty, got me the audition. She knew they were looking
for a wonderful teacher.
She knew they were looking for a female dancer, and she suggested me, and Clem O'Sullivan came down and interviewed me in her house. And so when she was sick, I used to call out to her to the nursing home and bring her to the Feshes or to the All Ireland or whatever, to the World. But she was in a wheelchair, and I remember bringing her one time, and we took ages to get her into the car in the wheelchair, to get the car out and everything. It was finally, and I had a broken leg, so I was on crutches, and I was driving her to Ballybunion.
Wow.
And we were going down to Ballybunion for the day. And I was going to wheel the wheelchair all along the beach for her, just to let her get a break. I got to Ballybunion and I went to get out of the car. And I had no crutches.
Oh no! What happened?
I left the crutches back in the nursing home.
Oh no! It's what did you do? Wow.
So this man ended up having to push her wheelchair up, and then into a pub, into a hotel, and come back for me, and hobble me up. And we spent 2 hours sitting looking out.
Oh, that's a story you'll never forget.
And it's things like that you remember, or Maureen O'Rourke throwing me out of the class for talking too much. Oh, Mary Honan.
Get out of here. Go 5 minutes only.
Do you know?
We lovely memories. My first dancing teacher was a delightful person called Nancy Berry. And I was 4, and I remember holding my mum's hand going over. We lived in Menlo at the time, and I just lived for Wednesday and Saturday. I'd wake up in the morning on a Wednesday, say, yes, today's my dancing day. And that's, so I loved, Nancy was beautiful. And the lovely story about Nancy, I have to tell you, is her father used to play the fiddle in the corner of this small room with a wooden floor. And I can
like Annie Benson and O'Rourke's with the chord.
Fantastic. The fiddle going and the heat in the kitchen, little kitchenette she had. But she was probably, I loved going to her. And then Mum, when we moved house, she took me to Cora Cadwell. So then I danced with Cora, and then we did shows and stuff like that together. We did the Olympian, the Gaiety, and lots of different places, mostly for charity. Not the Olympian one wasn't. But I remember Cora saying to me when I was about 12, 13, Olive, just before I stopped teaching, I stopped dancing for a while, Mary. But she said, Olive, you're growing into a lovely flower now. You're growing into a lovely flower. So Cora. You remember Cora?
Yeah, no, yes. I met Cora once in, I was talking to her at the All Ireland in Ennis.
She had a fur coat on her.
Yeah. She was very, awfully glamorous.
She was awfully glamorous. And she said, you're turning into a lovely flower. And I said, okay. Went home and looked and said to Mommy, I'm turning into a lovely flower. And she says, okay, don't get carried away now, girl. I said, no, I'm not. I'm just telling you about my dancing teacher. A
lovely flower.
So she sort of started me off there on the road then when I was a teacher, I did a lot of cabaret stuff. My dancers used to dance for Brian Red in the Bramer Rooms every summer, and we got paid. And I did the Killiney Castle, City West, all big shows.
Cabaret fantastic, because that's what I started off, cabaret in the Limerick Inn. Yeah. And then Clem O'Sullivan restarted the Cayleys in Bunratty. Yeah. And that's how I started off, was cabaret in the Limerick Inn. Yeah. And they were great.
Well. Why did you have to stop? Was it because you were 32 that you had to stop in Bunratty?
No, my father had dropped dead when the year when I was 30 that year, and then my mum was diagnosed 4 days later with throat cancer.
Oh, lovely! You must have gone through an awful hell.
Died the same day, the following year. So I spent most of I gave up. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't go anywhere for over a year. I didn't go outside the door. So I can understand when you listen to Christine Dignan's interview.
I'm looking forward to hearing that.
I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to go there with Christine. No. I said to myself, I'll leave her. If she wants to go there, then fine. But I didn't know how to approach the subject, and she was just extraordinary, I have to say. But I understood exactly what she said about not wanting to go outside the door.
The door, yeah.
And the longer I went without going out, the more uncomfortable I felt about going out.
And how did you get back out, Mary? Did you force yourself out?
Just once. A friend of mine insisted I go out, and I went out with her, but it took a year. I wouldn't even go back to work. Yeah. But I had the most remarkable bosses.
Yeah, but
they were very, and one of them was Mary Brady Costello's husband, John, who I never ever will forget.
Yeah.
Mary Costello in Brady Costello in Galway. Do you know Mary?
No, I know Pat Brady.
Taught with Jackie Scanlon.
Nothing to do with Pat Brady, no?
No, she taught with Jackie Scanlon.
I know the name. I can't put a face in her at the moment. Mary. Must be a long time ago.
It was exceptional. One of the best bosses I've ever had in my life, or anyone could have. Used to let me off all the time to go dancing on tours, and he'd say, "No problem. The Americans love to know that their employees are involved in Irish dancing." I didn't know his wife was a dancing teacher, and that's why he was letting me off.
Oh God.
Because he understood the passion for dance.
Absolutely. You went from there, Mary, and then you went on and did your degrees. Tell me about your degrees.
I went back as a mature. My job. My dad died on the 14th of January 92. My mom died on the 14th of May 93, and on the 14th of May 94, my job closed. And the company closed, and I was afraid that if I sat around the house, I would sink into depression. So I went back and resat at the Leaving Cert, and then did a degree, a master's, and a PhD.
I remember reading about that and how well you did. I was over the moon for you. Yeah.
I just couldn't stay at home.
No.
And that's why I've thrown myself into dancing. And I know, it's an obsession. It becomes an obsession.
It is an obsession. I don't think I can ever see myself actually giving up my dancing. I'm too passionate.
No, I couldn't.
I'd say to my family and friends, it'll give me up before I give it up. And the way life is on, you can get your senior girls and boys to help you in the class. Like I'll be up on the floor teaching the kids, and I say, okay, well, blah, blah, blah. You guys go, Mary, Maeve, Roisin, you go down the corridor now and practice with Kathy, will you please? And Kathy, do that stuff. And so it's like that in the class where all the senior girls are helping out and joining in. And
that's lovely.
Yeah, it's so, I will be.
But you at one stage brought out a really successful series before anyone even thought of these recording things, and you brought out a series of dances, which is still going around. I used them to get me through my ADCRG, because I didn't really do teams. I was a solo dancer, and I used to look at Olive Hurley's tapes, and I'd be sitting in the room on my own. If anyone saw me, they think, she's got 7 other events.
I don't know how many people, young teachers now, getting a little bit older, would at the time, that's 25 years ago, around 20-something years ago that I started doing that, and there was a reason for it. But to get back, I don't know how many teachers who were only studying at the time, I'd get a text in the middle of the night, I'm going to bed with Olive Hurley. And they'd have their book with all the notes on one side, which I never believed in. That was one of the reasons I did the Kelly videos, Mary. I thought that flibbery gibbet book we had for the Rinka.
Rinka Ferna.
What was it called?
Rinka Ferna.
Yes, Rinka Ferna, yeah. And I thought, it's a beautiful and perfectly put together. Don't misunderstand me. Really, really good. But that's all.
But it's daunting. It's daunting.
That's what we had. I said, why don't we have visual that we can actually see? And that is why I did the Kelly videos.
Do you know the book is okay for people like me who, I'm able to learn things off word for word.
Yeah.
So when I went in and they asked me the first figure of Trip to the Cottage, I was able to describe it exactly as it was in the book, with bars exactly as they were in the book, because I had learned them all off as poems. That's the way I learned.
That's the way I did mine too. But I remember ringing up Seamus McAnullah, Lord have mercy on him. He was married to Molly Farley.
Yeah. Oh, I loved Seamus McAnullah. I have his mortuary card on my fireplace at home. Molly sent it to me because I was very fond of Seamus, and
very, very fond. He was the CEO of the commission at the time.
Yeah.
And all for the dancer, all for the love of the dance. And then he had Molly there with their classes in the Mansion House and all of that. And he was just an amazing man, and I thought huge respect for him. So I rang him one day. I had done Step by Step Volume 1 and 2 for teaching the basics, the rings, the jigs, the stitches, and so I wanted to do the Cayley, and I rang him. I said, Seamus, I have to do the Cayley. He says, you can't, Olive, they're changing the books. I said, well, we've been pushing up the daisies before they changed the books. They're changing the books for the last 20 years. I said, the teachers coming up need to know how to do it exactly right, and I want to do that. He says, oh, you can't do it yet. So this went on, and my mom died, I think it was 1998. I'm not positive. I need Fran beside me, my brother, to tell me exactly. But when mum died, a force within me kept saying, do the Cayley, do it, do it, do it. And Matt Malady was my teacher as a senior. I loved Matt very much as a teacher. He was so good, hard man, but brisk, but fabulous teacher.
Who's this?
Matt Malady.
Matt Malady was an extraordinary teacher. Can't say I ever knew him because we competed when I was with Nolan's against Inishalga. Great teacher.
Great teacher. Yeah, absolutely. He made me into what I was when I got older and more mature about my approach to life. So Matt had retired. So I asked Matt, I rang up Seamus, said, Seamus, I'm going to do the Cayley videos. And he said, Olive, you're going to lose money by doing this. I said, no, I won't. And so I rang Owen Quinn, who was the guy who was going to be changing the books. And I said, Owen, I don't know whether Owen will hear me. I think he's in Australia, but he can still hear me. And I said, Owen, I want you to be the first to know that I'm now going to do the Cayley videos. Oh, but you can't do that. We're changing the books. I said, the day we change the books, I said, I'll be pushing up the daisies. I said, I'm not waiting any longer. The teachers coming forward now need to see everything in vision.
They do, because
the book. And that's what I did.
It gives a completely different perspective to people who've never taught or never done teams.
Yeah.
To actually see it, gives a completely different perspective than, okay, they work together. I think you need.
They must be together, of course. Yes.
If you can learn the book off by heart, but you can actually sit sit and look at the video.
Well, when I was producing it, Mary, and editing it in the studio, I actually had the book Winker beside me, and the dancers were dancing. Now it's all done. All 30 Cayley dances are finished. Now I'm in the editing. And I'm watching the video coming up in front of me where the engineers outside were showing me what's coming next. And I'd say, and now we're going to do the first figure in the whatever. We'd say the high call cap. And take inside hands and all that. And I'd be reading from the book, making sure that what I gave to the pupils was identical to what was in the book. Yes. So it was great that you had the book. You had to have the book.
You had to have the book. I think they work in conjunction, but neither will work in isolation.
Yeah. So I know my mom forced me to do that. Yeah. She knew. Get out there, girl, and do that.
But isn't it funny? I mean, my mom, Lord rest her, she used to always say to me, because she was so obsessed with dancing and because dancing was in our family, and I think she was so obsessed with it, she used to say to me, I want you to promise me one thing. She said, well, two things. One is that you will never, ever stop paying your registration, even if you're not teaching. Yes. I want you to keep up your registration. And two, she said, I want you to do your adjudicators. And she was thinking of this even after I just passed my TCRG. I got my TCRG at the first attempt.
Your mom had the vision of seeing the further road.
Just wanted me to have to be an adjudicator. And I can remember the two people who I had the utmost respect for was one, Tommaso Farrelly.
Oh yes, Tom.
Who was he was on my panel for my TCRG.
He was 104 when he died.
but he was an utter gentleman, and he knew how to treat people with respect who were doing their exam, because I think it's most important that examiners try to get the best out of the person in front of them rather than trying to see them fail. And the second person would be John Kilnan.
John is amazing. John was a great help to me.
He passed me my adjudicators with Dennis Dennehy, Lord rest Dennis.
He was another wonderful man, teacher, Dennis Dennehy.
Dennis Dennehy, lovely man.
Yeah, he would be one of the stalwarts of the commission. Always had huge respect for him. But Thomas Farley was amazing. Yeah.
Wasn't he? He was just such a gentleman. I remember him asking me to do I did my slipjig, and there was lots of rocks and cross keys in it, and he asked me to do it a second time.
Yeah.
And Mary Duffy was on the panel with him.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who the third person was. And I thought, well, this is going two ways now. He either loves my step or he hates it.
Yeah.
And when I passed the exam, I knew that it was the former, that he actually, but I was a bag of nerves. And I do remember him saying to me in the middle of teaching the cross reel, he asked me a question about a completely different dance. And I remember, and I don't know where I got the confidence to say it, but I remember turning to him and I saying, do you mind if I answer that question in a minute, Mr. Farrelly? If I finish this first, and then I'll be more than happy to answer. I didn't know the answer to his question because my brain was just so focused. But by the time I had actually taught the first figure, I actually knew what to answer him. And then I turned and said, now, Mr. Farrelly, I'll be more than happy to answer your question. And he said, it's all right. He said, and I think he was testing me to see could he panic me.
Probably. He was a sweetheart. I remember he was on my panel when I did my TCRG, and
on mine too.
So I thought, Matt had said to me, "Well, all of you probably get the lead first step and second step," and so it came to the third step, which I had a third step, and he hadn't stopped me. He's in the middle, I think. Or Cadwell might have been there. I can't remember who was on the other side. But he was in the middle and he didn't ring the bell. He just sat back like this watching me. And it came to the last step and I finished it and I said, well, have you seen enough? He says, no, I'd like you to do it again. He just wanted to look at me dancing. And so he told me afterwards. Nice, but he was great. When I made the 25th anniversary, which I was very, very lucky, because it happened the year of the Eurovision slot where they had the Irish dancing, traffic during the river dance.
That was how that year. How instrumental do you think that was to dancing?
No, that was a huge, yes, that's what I just wanted to say before we finish, Mary. If we're nearly finished, I think our time is nearly up, I'm not sure. But I really wanted to talk about that little piece because the actual 1994, the 25th anniversary video that I've been asked to do was finished. And now Michael is over in the Point Depot at the Times, now the Three Arena, getting all the dances rehearsed. And they'd be going from the Burlington Hotel from the Worlds, cross over to the Three Arena to practice with Michael. And so fast forward the story, when my video actually came out, I was fortunate enough to get on the Late Late Show, and Gay lovely chat with me and gave everyone to everyone in the audience. And I thought, oh, this is fantastic. It's wonderful. I was like in heaven at that stage, happy as Larry that this was going to be a success, this video, the 25th anniversary, for many reasons. For the promotion of Irish dancing, as well as me getting my money back. But to be blunt,
there's always a positive.
I need to get my money back. That's a joke, but no, really, it was great for dancing. And so everybody wanted to know, after that, I was getting emails, my website had just gone up and I was getting emails saying, where can I learn to do this? Where can I learn to do this? And I thought, okay, there's so many people coming, asking how, anywhere the river dance touched all over the world. People fell in love, and this is where I'm talking about, not necessarily about me as such, I'm talking about how dancing did change. it brought a new concept to what we were doing. It wasn't just diddly-eye down the park and the St. Patrick's Day.
It's sexy.
It was just phenomenal the way the people just opened up their arms to this beauty of dance with a little bit of sensuality, not sexuality, a different movement into Irish dance, and the music stayed Irish. So it was absolutely amazing, as you know, and is still. But when that happened, I said, okay, everybody wants to dance. So I went out to Vienna, Budapest, Sweden, everywhere, teaching dancing, teaching these people how to dance in workshops. And they come over to me. I made lovely, dearest friends all over the world. Clarissa Rack was from Chile. She went on to be a teacher. She used to come over and I'd go to her. Dana Ravid from Israel. Harold and Ursula from Vienna. Look, I could keep on going with names of people. Great guy out in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Wow.
Used to come over, Sean Silver. Fabulous guy. And he'd bring a troupe with him. We do workshops there. I never had the privilege to go back. I couldn't. He did ask me to go back, but I couldn't at the time. So I'm digressing again, but I'm not meaning to. What I'm trying to say is it did open the new world for Irish dancing. And it became known right throughout the whole world. There's classes, Ronan Morgan, lovely Ronan, he has classes with his lovely wife in Taipei. You've got them in Japan, China, everywhere. I'm honored to go out to Petersburg in Russia, and also Moscow and places like that. That you would unbelievable standard of dance. And so, yeah, the river dance did that. And then on top of that, Michael comes back.
Of course, it was always a beautiful art form.
Always was.
But the likes of,
I must impress upon people that is true. We have never
flatly brought it onto a global
It just brought it to a different dimension where people could see it and are dancing Irish dancing, teaching Irish dancing all over the world. Proper traditional dancing, but loving the art of that's what it is. Yeah.
Well, Olive Hurley, you're actually absolutely a stalwart in Irish dancing, and you're somebody I wanted on for ages, and you're always so busy.
Well, thank you for asking me, Mary. I'm thrilled to being here. I enjoyed it very much. And thank you again.
You know, I mean, I kind of feel that the shows in some way are trying to, are helping us to get to know the people behind the teachers. Sometimes you look at people like Olive Hurley and you think, oh, that's Red Hurley's sister, Olive Hurley. You know, Olive Hurley, she made that CD, or Olive Hurley, she's on the commission.
I'm proud to be Red Hurley's sister. I'm also proud of what my parents have done for all of us. Brought us to this level of the love of the art of dance and music.
But it's nice to get to know the person behind this facade that we all have in dancing, of this teacher being, oh, she taught, who's that teacher? Oh, she taught such a person and such a person, and they won this. But to see the human being behind.
And it was lovely to see, well, I've met you before, Mary, but it's lovely to see you chatting with me. I feel like you're in the room with me. We have another cup of tea,
I know, and I mean, normally I have several cups of tea, but my colleague has been remiss. He's been out in another room and he's never brought me in a second cup of tea. He'll be sufficiently chastised. Before you go, Olive, do you think that that they should open up competitions like I do, and like I think I said in the magazine, and advertise them more generally?
Absolutely.
Put posters up, put ads in the newspaper, put ads on TV, maybe show the World Championships every year on RTV or TV3.
I totally 100% behind you in that. And I also feel that the TV stations would be lovely to put a show of Irish dancing across the screen of the champions, or even the beginners as well, all levels, doing something with the Irish dancing, because they're lost. It would be lovely to see a display of dancing. I know they're doing a lot, but I feel there could be more done for dancing.
I think the competitions need to be pushed more outward, because we're always going to just be known by the group of us or anyone that dares to actually step into our world. But people walking past in the street, and a foreigner who might be walking past might say, "Oh, I'll go in and watch an Irish dancing competition," and they'll walk in because they see a sign of.
Hey. Well, we get everything from broadcasting and publicising. But Mary, before we go, can I ask you, are you going to go back teaching yourself?
Yes.
Good.
Well, please God, I was going back. You see, I took a break because of the PhD and because of the then I decided to get the book over and done with, and I had this vision I was going to be a published author and make money out of it. You make nothing out of academic books.
No, I don't think so.
You sell them, okay, but by the time the publisher gets paid for publishing it and for
I know all the well, Mary, if you
printing it and everything, you're just
writing a book, are you?
Huh?
Are you writing a book?
No, well, I wrote my book. I published my book, and
I find it was
published by Cambridge Scholars.
Where can I find it?
Oh, Olive, it's the literary representation of World War II childhood.
Okay.
I looked at how our attitudes towards children have changed since the Romantic writers, all the way through Dickensian times, and even now, where we still have children going down the mines, and we still have children of slave labor, and then I looked at children in war, and I looked at the Holocaust and childhood under Nazism.
Where can I buy your book?
I have copies of it. They're only half the price. I couldn't send anybody to the website because the amount of money they're looking for it. I would be ashamed to.
I'll have to get my hands on that one. But I'm writing a book.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, what is it?
I won't tell you what title I was going to call it because it's a little bit risky. No, I'm joking. I would love to.
Olive Hurley.
No, I'm not going to tell the name yet, but I'd love to in COVID, and I've got some of it done, little bits here and there. Haven't put anything together. Have nothing done, but it's there in the head, and some pieces on paper on my computer. So.
And it's on COVID.
And I don't know. I'm just loving the idea of talking about how we succeeded in COVID, and then coming all the strands about the dancing and where we've come from and where we're going. I'm enjoying it, Mary. I probably will never publish it, but I'm having fun. I'm enjoying it. It's motivating me to, think in the box of where we are going.
Well, I've applied now for a postdoctoral research with the Irish Council, but only 10%, 12% of people who apply worldwide get it. And I want to write a book and do a documentary and a series of lectures on Hubert Butler, who was an Irish writer who moved to Austria to save Jewish lives.
Okay.
And no one has written on him apart from one PhD in Cambridge.
You have to do that, Mary.
So if I get the funding for it, otherwise I can't afford to do it because.
Well, go after the funding. Go do that. That sounds an excellent idea. But I would suggest to you, you've got so much to do, but I would suggest for our mental health as well, to be out active in dancing is
I'll be back at dancing. I mean, I always ran my fesh every year.
Yeah.
And it was 18 years running.
Yeah.
When COVID struck, but I will go back teaching dancing. It's my life. It's what really makes me tick. That's why these interviews are so important to me.
Absolutely, and you do a fantastic job. Before I go, one of my nieces, she does my admin for me for my website, and for my group classes I'm doing, and she's just amazing. I'd love to have her as well teaching with me, and I have an older niece as well who seems to be interested as well. But it would be lovely to see, what I'm trying to say is, lovely to see the Hurley name going forward when I do ever stop. I can't see myself stopping, Mary. I have a stick in my hand, say, Mary, over there, take the left. But I'd love to see the name keep going, when I'm over.
I have a feeling it will.
Yeah. Okay, Mary.
And I have a feeling it'll keep going with you forever, Olive.
Thank you very much. Lovely talking to you, Mary.
Thank you, Olive.
Okay.
Shindera leis an clár. That's the end of the show. Until the next time, Lacuna of Day. Bawalam tu galer chia kona sanas agus grow. I wish you peace, happiness, and love. And I thank Olive Hurley for being my exceptional guest today. Agus Gaday Ships Lawn.
I enjoyed it very much, Mary. Slán go bhfuil.
Lawn.